Wentworth Season 3, the season where everything had changed. B. Smith is now the top dog and she is taking no prisoners. When a power game between B and Joan Ferguson begins from the very first episode, we are treated to some of the best episodes that Wentworth has to offer. So get yourselves strapped in while I review Wentworth Season 3, Episode 1, The Governor's Pleasure. Hey guys, welcome back to Wentworth Live. Oh my god, I am so excited to be reviewing this episode. This is hands down one of my all-time favourite episodes ever of Wentworth, and I know a lot of you guys also love this episode, but before I do get started, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button right now as it really helps us out on the channel. Okay then, where the hell do I flippin' start? Okay, so the opening scene of this episode is B leaving court and she has just been handed a life sentence without parole, which means that B. Smith is going to spend the rest of her life inside prison. Now, she apparently showed no remorse for the killing of Braden Holt, and I just really wish that we had actually got to see some of these court scenes. It would have been flippin' brilliant, seeing B. Smith just standing there with no fucks to give. We learn from the TV reporters that Vinnie Holt, he ended up having a heart attack at Braden's funeral and he pretty much died. He's no longer with us. Now, guys, I've got a little secret that I only realised a few months ago that Vinnie was dead. I never ever caught on or heard from the reporters that Vinnie had dropped down dead at Braden's funeral. Now, the amount of times that I rewatched Wentworth and I just pretty much overlooked what was said with these reporters because I suppose there's so much going on and you've got B coming out of the courtroom slagging off Joan Ferguson to the TV reporters. You also meet Kaz Proctor for the very first time when she ends up cheering, telling B that, you know, she is their hero. And at the same time, you've got Joan Ferguson having the mother of all bollockings from the board after everything, you know, that happened with B escaping and the fight with Frankie and then killing Braden and all of that stuff. And Joan is told that if there was just one more slip up, then she is out. This sets everything up perfectly for what's about to happen. This whole episode is literally B and the women versus Joan Ferguson. After B is returned to Wentworth, Joan flaunts her authority, telling B that she is now the property of Wentworth and that this is her prison. But B isn't going to stand for that. When Joan decides to ban all of the women's cigarettes in the prison, B and the women, they end up making a stand. They refuse to go back to work until they have smoked all of their cigarettes. And when Joan warns B once again, B actually reminds Joan that she has just been sentenced to life without parole. There is no more that can be done to her. Joan's next move is to take Liz out of protection. Now, if you guys remember, Liz had originally lagged on Boomer, which resulted in Boomer receiving another 7 years to her sentence. Liz was then released from prison, but she was then brought back to Wentworth after helping B when B was on the run. So Liz has been in protection for the rest of the time, but Joan ends up bringing Liz back to H Block, and this really angers B. B tries to stop it from happening, but she ends up in the slot. Now Maxine, she warns everyone not to touch Liz, but Boomer takes no notice of this and she ends up going to Liz's cell in the night and she beats Liz to a pulp. I'm actually really glad that we didn't get to see the whole bashing on screen. I feel it would have really affected my opinion on Boomer if we had watched her hurt Liz. I mean, seeing the results the following day when Liz is in medical is bad enough. So, what next? Well, Joan comes to see B in the slot, reminding B that she doesn't run the prison, she does. So B has this huge plan all worked out with best friend Maxine, a plan that has been well prepared. When B receives her food in the slot, B ends up marking her tray, telling Maxine that it's now, the time is now, meaning that the women are going to war. Maxine rounds up the women and gets them all to grab all of their things like their mattresses and everything else from their cells. They then take them out inside to the yard and they end up setting fire to them. Maxine does make sure that a heavily pregnant Doreen is safe by telling her to go back to the medical unit and to lock the door. When the women are building this bonfire in the yard, Officer Tabacula, he ends up trying to stop them, but Maxine and some of the women, they end up breaking the mop sticks and they end up pointing them at the officers as weapons, telling them to back off. I absolutely love this moment when Maxine, she gets really serious for a moment, like she really means business here, and I love the little ad-lib when Maxine is like, I really didn't want to raise my voice. It's absolutely brilliant. So all of the H block women, they're all out in the yard and the riot alarm is going off, the prison's going into chaos. Joan is with Channing and they both end up going to the security camera room to keep an eye on things, and Vera is checking the cells to see if anyone is there. Now, unfortunately for Vera, she ends up being attacked and grabbed by a couple of masked prisoners, and they end up placing a bag over Vera's head. I just realised Vera was put into a makeshift spit bag. How funny that Vera does exactly the same thing to Joan much later on in season 8. So Vera is taken hostage and things start to get very insanely intense when the masked women, they have a syringe at Vera's throat and they end up telling Joan on the radio to open up the gates to the slot and tell the officers to get out of there, otherwise they are going to inject vinegar tits. Now, I can remember literally being on the edge of my seat when I was first watching this. I could not believe what was unfolding in front of my very eyes. And to make matters worse, Joan refuses to do what the masked women are saying, and I honestly thought that Vera is about to get it. Luckily for Vera, Channing grabs Joan's radio and he basically gives the masked women what they want. Now, everyone in that security room is horrified at what Joan was doing. You've even got Linda over there. She's looking at Joan with a what the fuck look on her face. Like, what the hell? The needle was literally in Vera's throat. And, oh god, it just gets worse for Vera because it has indeed cut her throat. When the masked women get to the slot, they release B and they end up throwing Vera in the cell. Vera then starts to rub her neck and she sees the blood on her fingers. We then have one of the best scenes ever where Joan comes out into the yard to speak to the women, and this is when Joan notices for the first time that B is there in the yard with all of the women, and I love the part where Joan's mouth opens with shock just for that very second. Joan then goes into the yard and has a standoff with B, with all of the women chanting behind her. This is where B tells Joan that from now on, if Joan has anything that she wants to do in regards to the prison or the running of the women, then she now needs to run it past B first. Otherwise, they will all just, carry on what they're doing until Joan is forced to call in the squad, meaning that it will get back to the board and Joan's career will be over. B literally has Joan over a barrel, and B takes great delight in telling Joan that she doesn't run this prison. I do, and I just, look at Joan's face, I flippin' love it. B and the women, they then drop all of their weapons and they head back to their cells, and Joan, oh god, she's just standing there in front of the fire looking so defeated, and the whole time, this is happening, they are playing the song Radioactive, which I flippin' love. Whenever I hear this song, it always just makes me think of this very scene. scene. An absolutely powerful ending to a fantastic episode. Apart from the riot, we are introduced to the new character, Bridget Westfall, who I absolutely adore straight away. Now, Bridget is the new prison psych, and straight away in this episode, you can see that Joan is not a fan of her, probably because Joan is a little bit worried that they may spot that Joan is indeed a psychopath. Wink, wink. We also meet new character Jodie Spiteri, who is now Frankie's new love interest. Now Frankie, she's basically running the kitchen and is keeping out of Bee's way, and she is also using dead chickens to smuggle in drugs behind Bee's back. I cannot see Bee being happy about that one. We are also introduced to Juicy Lucy in this episode. She is one of the main masked women who takes Vera hostage. She's the one doing the talking through the radio to Joan. And as we all know, we will learn more about Juicy Lucy as the season continues. This is hands down the best episode ever of Wentworth. It's one of my favourite opening episodes of any season, even though Season 7 does come very close. So much happens in this episode. You literally feel like you need a drink after watching it. I watched this episode so many times when I was waiting for episode 2. It was action-packed, dramatic, and it just had everything that every Wentworth fan would want. A proper 10 out of 10 episode. So then guys, let's hear some of your thoughts on this amazing episode. I know you all absolutely love this one, so let me know all of your thoughts in the comments box below. Okay then guys, well thank you all for watching today's video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, stay safe out there, and I will see you all again very, very soon.